Welcome to Landwards, the podcast for the land-based engineering community, brought to you by the Institution of Agricultural Engineers.
Hello and welcome to the Landwards News Podcast with your host, myself, Andy Newbold, and the institution's Chief Executive Officer, Charlie Nicklin. Hello, Charlie.
Good morning, Andy. How are you?
I'm very well. So we're going to have a look at some of the latest news headlines and just have a chat and see where we think ag engineering fits in. So I noticed quite recently that the Farmer Time Initiative has matched 524 farms with schools. So this is an initiative which links school children with farmers via FaceTime or Skype, and they've matched 524 farms and schools in the last academic year. This is a great initiative, Charlie. What do you reckon?
I think it's brilliant. I think most people love talking about what they do for a living. And if you've got interesting jobs like farmers, they'll talk for hours and yarn on about what they're doing. And so I think it's brilliant. There's less and less people employed in agriculture, so it's really important that people understand what agriculture is, where food comes from and that sort of stuff. So, we all talk about getting into schools and showcasing what agriculture is and does. Well, this is a great way of doing it and using sort of modern technology. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
And I think as well, for the light bulb to go off for someone to think it's an industry, it's a business I'd really love to be involved in. What a great time to do it when you're still at school and you're looking for inspiration about your future.
Yeah, and you've got we're trying to push STEM subjects in school, engineering, that sort of stuff, and we can connect the two. If you've got agriculture in there, you can then talk about agricultural engineering, and people will put the two together, won't they, and understand it, hopefully.
It's a great bridge. Another, just sort of moving a little bit more towards the machinery business, I think, with this next piece. I noticed that Mr. Kazunari Shimokawa, the Chief Executive Officer and President of Kubota Holdings Europe and Kvernud, has been given a new assignment as Managing Executive Officer and General Manager of the Agricultural Implement Division of the Kubota Group. And effectively, he's going to give up being the CEO and President and look after the implements. So there's big changes afoot with Kubota, and that will no doubt rattle down into our world in due course as they are pushing hard.
It's Kaz to his friends. Kubota they're one to watch, and I've watched them for 10, 15 years now. They make some pretty smart construction equipment. It's high quality, well built, well engineered. And I've watched them over the years. Every time I went to Agritechnica, I'd go and look at their tractors, and they get better and better. They bought Kvernud, and all of a sudden, they've bought into a range of top-notch implements. They then bought by buying Kvernud, they bought into a load of precision farming stuff as well, because they're well into precision farming on Kvernud. And all of a sudden, you got the makings of a serious contender. And I remember reading an article written by one of their CEOs, I guess, a while back, and they absolutely firmly had their eyes set on John Deere as a competitor. So you can see where they're going. I suppose that they're still limited in the tractor world because they only make a 4-cylinder, although they're up to sort of 170 odd horsepower. But that they've got to get into that territory of 200 plus really to crack a lot of the farmers, because they've got to have a 6-cylinder. And I'm sure they're working on it. I have read things in the press about it. But as soon as they can get up to sort of 200 plus horsepower, you've got a real serious contender there. And there's one thing for sure. The engineering they do is top quality. It's well screwed together equipment as well. So they're definitely one to watch, and I've certainly been watching them over the years.
Yeah, and as you say, each step, that they establish and keep moving forwards, don't they? Now let's just jump sideways into a little bit of COVID-related news. The Soil Association have launched a Grow Back Better manifesto, which outlines a 10-point plan for COVID-19 recovery. And their Grow Back Better manifesto for UK food farming and land use advocates for a far better industry response towards climate change, nature and health crises. Well, I don't think any of us would argue with that in the slightest. I just wondered where ourselves as agricultural engineering professionals fitted in.
Well, it's bread and butter, isn't it? Soils are essential. And if we want to do things better with what we've got, then we need engineers to get involved. And it's absolutely agricultural engineering, isn't it? It's soil science, it's bioscience, it's engineering, it's all the things we know and love in the institute. It's another thing, isn't it, that we should be pushing and making visible to people, that we want people to get into the industry and come and work on this stuff, because it's so exciting, and it's at the forefront of everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's great for agricultural engineers.
I quite agree, and they're talking about devising and delivering practical solutions with people from all walks of life. Well, my contention is that the Institution of Ag Engineers is a professional body of people who are available to help with that toolkit, because, as you say,
absolutely.
In the at this time of the year, we would normally be trundling off to events like PropTech, or looking forward to Llama, or every other year getting on a plane to go to Agritechnica. Obviously, that's not happening at the moment. But IMA have run a digital, which is the great cheap machinery show in Italy, have run a digital preview, which started on November the 11th, and we're seeing manufacturers going increasingly online through need, really. I just wondered what your thoughts were on getting technology out there, given that face-to-face doesn't really exist in the shall we say, short term. Is that the best description for you?
Yeah. It's frustrating, isn't it? I think one thing with our industry is it is very face-to-face. It's relationships. It's quite an incestuous industry, and we need to talk to each other. And I know we can do it on Zoom and stuff, but it's not the same. And I think if you're a manufacturer going to shows, they cost you a fortune, and do they yield much? Some would argue not, but what they do is show a presence. They get people on your stand, they get people talking, they get you're in their heads. People don't go to shows and make purchases in general, but you've got to be there. And I think yes, we're having to sort of survive without them at the moment, but I think as soon as we can get back to face demos and shows, then the better. I think you've got the big shows like Agritech are absolutely essential for companies to showcase their kit, and there's no substitute for that. And I think we've seen a rise over the last sort of 10 years in field demonstrations again, which is great, and they do have proper punters that come who are really interested in buying machines, rather than public, and school children going around. They're proper commercial shows, and I think there's no substitute for that. And I think we've just got to get back to it when the virus allows, which hopefully, with the vaccines on the way, we hope that sometime next year we'll be away again, won't we? It's looking good. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised some of the company. I mean, obviously, some of these shows you've got to plan months and months ahead, and it's really risky. So, some are deciding to do things digital, but you kind of think hopefully in a few months' time the world will start to settle down a bit. But by the summer. But of course, it's a risk preparing for a show that might not happen. You can't do that, can you? Because they are costly things. Agritechnica is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds to exhibit in those big halls there.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And companies are being challenged to say, well, you didn't spend this money this year. We've still got market share. We're still selling things. We're still getting innovation to market. Should we do them again? And that's an entirely different debate. And whether this kind of virtual world, which manufacturers are diving into now to show their wares and to show their innovation, whether this virtual world is going to become some kind of augmented reality alongside some kind of face-to-face in due course, I don't know, and it's maybe too early to say. But like you say, where the vaccine takes us.
I hope that's not the case, and I hope accountants don't cotton onto that and realise, Christ, we've saved £1 million this year not going to shows. That will be a bad thing. I think that people in companies will recognise that, and they're not daft. They know that they need to be out and about and show a presence and get their field demonstrations underway, and they're not going to stop doing that and go digital, because you look at like the Fent field day they have in Germany. I mean, it's an immense event. You're not going to do that online, are you? It's just not the same. People want to be there, touch the kit, see the kit, talk to people, have a bit of banter. It's so important, isn't it, in our industry?
Yeah, agreed. So the HSE stats for the last year show a significant drop in fatalities in agriculture. But, you know, we still know farmers are taking risks which cost lives and money. You know, where are we as an institution in terms of supporting the industry to do the right thing?
We all know that agriculture has a terrible record. You know, it's the worst industry to be in from a health and safety perspective, and that is just totally unacceptable, isn't it? It's, you know, for some children to come home from school to find out that they haven't got a dad anymore is horrific. Yeah. You know, because of some horrendous accident. And usually these accidents on farms are pretty horrendous. Yeah, because you've either fallen off a shed roof or got yourself wrapped up in a baler. They're not nice. Yeah. Horrible things, and it's just unacceptable. And you know, from a machinery design background, you know, you design machinery to be safe. You spend a lot of time complying with legislation and doing the right thing, and then for people to abuse the equipment and not do the right thing is not good. You know, we're involved with the Farm Safety Partnership on these things. It's important. We support it. We've got to make the industry a safer place to be in. You know, and I'm from a farming background. I know what goes on. You know, I know people spend, you know, till the early hours driving a tractor, falling asleep, you know, and then driving the thing back on the road. It's horrendous, really. I mean, what industry does things like that? But that's farming. And it's almost, people almost boast about it.
It's a cultural change we need to say it is unacceptable to push that hard. Because, you know, we all want to go home safe and sound, don't we? No, I'd agree with that absolutely wholeheartedly.
But you still see silly things, and the amount of times you see somebody running a piece of kit with guards missing or PTO shafts unguarded, it's just horrendous, really. And you know, my uncle had half his leg chewed away with a PTO shaft when he was a little kid, you know, by sliding down the mudguard on a tractor. You know, it was unacceptable then, and it's unacceptable now, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And
so we're very supportive of it. You know, we must support it. We must challenge ourselves to make the industry better.
A health and safety specialist group as well within the institution.
Yeah.
There are a number of ag engineering safety specialists within our membership as well.
Yeah, and we're supporting an event next week, the Farm Safety Partnership in conjunction with the NFU. So we've got an evening where we're helping college lecturers, really supporting the colleges in how they promote health and safety in agriculture and ag engineering.
So there's a couple of other news pieces here which I think we should probably tie together. But there's a research project being led by the Quant Foundry in collaboration with the University of Bristol Vet School and IAgrE Epicenter, which is seeking to improve livestock using AI methods combined with behavioural analytics. And I think it's just, you know, the whole world of data is mushrooming massively. We've had a conference on data 12 months ago, which Jane kindly sort of hosted. But I just wondered where we feel we fit in terms of, you know, where the business is going, where the industry is going, where data and you know, AI is fitting in, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, my background is obviously engineering and design in machinery, and you know, software, electronics is just so important in what we do. And you know, and software and electronics and robotics has been in animal production for years. You know, we've had robotic milking now for like 2 decades, so it's really established. And you know, it's just another level AI. It's amazing, really. You know, and it's to allow AI to start and monitor animal health. It's just something that then supports the guy who the farm manager, the guy who's managing the cows. It's supporting him. It's another set of eyes for him. Yeah. You know, rather than him having to know every cow he milks every day, he knows and understands and can look at the health of the cow. You know, it's another set of eyes for him, isn't it? You know, and the computer can flag up, actually, I've spotted Daisy XYZ. isn't looking so great and flags it up to him, and then he can have a closer look. And it's preventative maintenance for animals, isn't it? It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and really, really exciting stuff for attracting people into the industry again, isn't it?
When you look at the application of AI in things like analysis of satellite imagery for crops, that's exactly the same analogy, whereby it's not a substitute for an agronomist, it's not a substitute for walking your fields and looking at your crops, but what it is it's an early indicator to say there is an area here you may need to pay attention because it's got a weed infestation, or because it's got a blight, or some sort of thing which is going outside of the normal parameters. So it's not a substitute for getting out there and getting among your cows or checking your sheep or looking at your crops, but what it is it's a signposting system. And I think for that kind of thing to be done remotely, to say you might want to look at this, and the fact the results tend to suggest that this is very, very positive. I think it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
From an animal welfare perspective, it's brilliant as well, because your crops, having some failing crops doesn't hurt anybody apart from hurting your pocket, but having animals that are suffering does hurt, and that, so it's another thing to help the welfare of animals, and that's in the public eye, isn't it, at the moment? That is so.
Yeah, and I think the public eye are very comfortable with the use of technology for those reasons, to make sure that animals have a life worth living, for want of a better word.
Absolutely.
That's a very strong concept. Now we do have what I will describe as the "and finally" moment now. The University of Texas at Austin has developed a new type of soil which can pull water from the air and distribute it to plants. So it's a new self-watering soil which could transform farming. So over to you, Charlie. What do you think? So 50 trillion tons of this soil has been ordered, and we're about to spread it over the Sahara Desert and solve all the world's problems. But no, at the end of the day, joking aside, it's absolutely cutting edge research, isn't it? And it's amazing. It's really interesting when you read about it. But ultimately, we need to research these things, don't we? Because something might come out of it. You never know. But it's very high in research. Potential. It's got great potential, but the practicality will play out. Time will tell. But if you don't go, you won't know. No, and in the UK, we've got an abundance of water that we don't know what to do with. We still have droughts. It's amazing. It all comes back to soil management, water management. Sorry, that water is absolutely essential, isn't it, for growing stuff? We all know that. And I remember John Deere buying into water management solutions years ago, because they obviously recognise that importance in the US of managing water. I think that's just the UK. We just do a terrible job, don't we, of managing water? And I don't mean farmers and drainage. I mean in general. We've got floods everywhere. We're building housing estates with hard standing. So we've just got to manage the water better. It's really interesting research, isn't it? Our urban Dickensian water distribution systems, for some reason, the cast iron pipes are leaking nowadays. So I think Thames Water spend billions every year trying to sort out whatever's happening under the streets of London, don't they, with water loss. So it's a bit like the discussion about food shortage in the world, isn't it? Where arguably there's plenty of food, it's just none of it's in the right place. And I'm in Cumbria, I'm in the Fells, we have plenty of water, thank you very much. You've got plenty of water up there, haven't you? But the issue is, you go 40, 50 miles east, get the other side of the Pennines and into Yorkshire, and at certain times of the year they could do with an awful lot of water. Well, it's not very far away from us, but distributing it there is a very different matter. So there's great opportunities for engineers. Well, look, I think we're drawing to the end of this month's Landwards News podcast recording. Charlie, it's been great. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed having a quick romp through some of the news headlines. We will no doubt be back in December for the Christmas special, complete with mince pies, and not that you'll ever see. But yeah, thank you, Charlie Nicklin, for joining me today for the Landwards News, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. And we'll be back. Thanks a lot. Great to have a chat about some of these things. Brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, no, it's good to know what's in the news. Right, over and out. Thank you very much and goodbye. Bye-bye.
For more information, visit www.IAgrE.org. You have been listening to Landwards, the podcast for the land-based engineering community, brought to you by the Institution of Agricultural Engineers.